All right, welcome back, everybody. We're continuing our review of Dr. Jordan B. Peterson's 12 Rules for Life and Antidote to Chaos. Going to be moving on to Rule 4. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. I found myself really resonating. Well, I guess I really found this chapter resonating with me. And the reason why is when I read the title of this chapter, I remember back when I did my first reading of the book. I've read this book twice, and this is now my third go-around. First time I was reading this book, and up until now, of course, I'm always reminded of social media every time that I hit this new chapter. There are some social media platforms that are worse than others when it comes to the amount of content that's focused on and geared toward people displaying the shinier, more jazzed up slivers of their life, the little glimpses of their life. Off the top of my head, when I think about it, I guess YouTube can be bad like that. Instagram's definitely bad like that. And I would say probably Snapchat. Facebook, kind of. If I could target Instagram, I would say Instagram's definitely a bad one because the posts are mostly image-based and then you don't write much for a caption. It's really focused on what the person's doing. And it's not that, I want to make it clear, it's not that I hate social media. For me personally, I don't use many of the platforms. I use YouTube. I use Snapchat for a group chat that I'm in with my friends. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty much it. YouTube and the limited use of Snapchat. I haven't used Instagram in over a year. I think I still have an account, but it's been inactive for a while, and there's a good reason why. The reason why was because I was tired of opening up the app, scrolling through my feed, and subconsciously comparing myself to everyone else on my feed. I didn't know I was doing it at the time. I wasn't saying it out loud to myself, oh man, this guy's hanging out with his awesome friends again. He's got a new car, or they got all this money, they're on vacation. You see a lot of vacation posts, especially during summer. And I got tired of it. Unbeknownst to me, I was doing that. I didn't realize it at first. I wasn't conscious. I wasn't aware of how I was comparing myself to other people. And furthermore, I wasn't aware of how destructive that was for me. And this is for me personally, right? Again, I don't hate Instagram. I choose not to use it. It wasn't good for me to open up the app and scroll through all these posts. And all I was doing was comparing myself to other people and wasting my time. It's a huge waste of time. Good for these people. They're out doing things. They're on vacation and hanging out with friends. That's awesome. But I didn't do anything for me. And likewise, it wouldn't do anything for me if I was putting out posts. I've put out some, and I was chasing likes, which is important to people who validate themselves off of social, Instagram posts and things like that. It wasn't super important to me. And so that's why I found myself pulling away from the app. It wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for me. And that's why I rarely, if ever, use Instagram. I rarely use Snapchat. And YouTube is the one, of course, the one I use the most. But Instagram wasn't good for me. And really, at large, using social media platforms to really, at the end of the day, subconsciously compare myself to other people wasn't really good for me. It wasn't. Not for my self-esteem. Comparing myself to people wasn't good. So I pulled away from that. So that's why this chapter resonates with me so well. I think it's definitely one of the more relevant chapters for contemporary society, for our world today. I want to read a section at the beginning here and another one at the end to kind of sum up the chapter. There's a good part, I thought, here. No matter how good you are at something or how you rank your accomplishments, there is someone out there who makes you look incompetent. You're a decent guitar player, but you're not Jimmy Page or Jack White. You're almost certainly not even going to rock your local pub. You're a good cook, but there are many great chefs. Your mother's recipe for fish heads and rice, no matter how celebrated in her village of origin, doesn't cut it in these days of grapefruit foam and Scotch tobacco ice cream. Some mafia don has a tackier yacht. Some obsessive CEO has a more complicated self-winding watch, kept in his more valuable mechanical hardwood and steel automatic self-winding watch case. Even the most stunning Hollywood actress eventually transforms into the evil queen, on eternal paranoid watch for the new Snow White. And you, well, your career is boring and pointless. Your housekeeping skills are second rate, your taste is appalling, you're fatter than your friends, and everyone dreads your parties. Who cares if you're Prime Minister of Canada when someone else is President of the United States? Inside us dwells a critical internal voice and spirit that knows all of this. It's predisposed to make its noisy case. It condemns our mediocre efforts, and it can be very difficult to quell. Worse, critics of its sort are necessary. There's no shortage of tasteless artists, tuneless musicians, poisonous cooks, bureaucratically personality-disordered middle managers, hack novelists, and tedious, ideology-ridden professors. Things and people differ importantly in their qualities. Awful music torments listeners everywhere. Poorly designed buildings crumble in earthquakes. Substandard automobiles kill their drivers when they crash. Failure is the price we pay for standards. And because mediocrity has consequences both real and harsh, standards are necessary. It's a good point he makes there. And I really find myself agreeing with him, like I agree with him in most of the points he makes in this book. There's another section here later on. He focuses first on how it's really not good for you to compare yourself to other people and what they're doing in their lives. And then he presents a different strategy that we can try, which is not comparing ourselves to who someone else today, but comparing ourselves to who we were yesterday. To only compare ourselves to who we were yesterday. And that's it. Not to use anyone else for our comparison, but only ourselves. So there's a good section here at the end. Give me a second to find this. He says, let the tasks for the day announce themselves for your contemplation. Maybe you can do this in the morning as you sit on the edge of your bed. Maybe you can try the night before when you are preparing to sleep. Ask yourself for a voluntary contribution. If you ask nicely and listen carefully, and don't try any treachery, you might be offered one. Do this every day, for a while. Then do it for the rest of your life. And soon you'll find yourself in a different situation. Now you'll be asking yourself habitually, what could I do that I would do to make life a little better? You're not dictating to yourself what better must be. You're not being a totalitarian or a utopian even to yourself, because you've learned from the Nazis and the Soviets and the Maoists and from your own experience that being a totalitarian is a bad thing. Aim high. Set your sights on the betterment of being. Align yourself and your soul with truth and the highest good. There's habitable order to establish and beauty to bring into existence. There's evil to overcome, suffering to ameliorate, and yourself to better. And that's a section on focusing on how you can improve your life with baby steps, incrementally, right? To not focus on comparing yourself to other people, but instead to ask yourself, okay, when you wake up in the morning, what can I do today? What little thing can I do just a little better than yesterday? What's one thing I can do a little better than yesterday to make my life a little better, to help myself? Which reminds me, it's kind of in line with Rule 2, respecting yourself, right? Which is absolutely true. And I'll finish this with one of the last sections in the book here. He says, realization is dawning. Instead of playing the tyrant, therefore, you're paying attention. You're telling the truth instead of manipulating the world. You're negotiating instead of playing the martyr or the tyrant. You no longer have to be envious because you no longer know that someone else truly has it better. You no longer have to be frustrated because you've learned to aim low and to be patient. You're discovering who you are and what you want and what you're willing to do. You're finding that the solutions to your particular problems have to be tailored to you personally and precisely. You're less concerned with the actions of other people because you have plenty to do yourself. Attend to the day, but aim at the highest good. And now your trajectory is heavenward. That makes you hopeful. Even a man on a sinking ship can be happy when he clambers aboard a lifeboat, and who knows where he might go in the future. To journey happily may well be better than to arrive successfully. Ask and ye shall receive. Knock and the door will be open. If you ask as if you want, and knock as if you want to enter, you may be offered the chance to improve your life a little, or a lot, completely. And with that improvement, some progress will be made in being itself. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today.